It was just a channeled message.
Outsourcing?
Instead of outsourcing the desires and the needs and things that you want to experience, can we not resource ourselves first? I was just telling someone yesterday, it is all about resourcing yourself from within first, which includes self-love.
Right.
Anger is healthy, but how anger also has been excluded from our psyche. There is judgment around anger also as an emotion, as an energy. We keep on pushing it out though. It's not healthy to be angry. But then all that anger goes in, either causes health issues.
Yes.
Big time, because it's excluded, but it needs to be included somehow, right? These are the laws that I speak about in constellation work, which was fully themed around illnesses and diseases. And it was beautiful to conduct those sessions.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, often when I do those sessions, I actually forget what I've done in my sessions as well, because going into a committed relationship, they must look at themselves, because the honeymoon phase, I'm sure many people know about the honeymoon phase, doesn't last for long, right? And when the reality starts striking, it can be very overwhelming for both the partners. Certain limiting beliefs around love. So first of all, when people come into relationship, before they come into relationships or want to come into relationship with someone, they have to work on themselves.
Yes.
They have to understand, where do I come from? What do I understand about love? That could be because of the entanglement also. So what is entanglement? Entanglement means that if in previous generations, the idea of healthy bonding, healthy marriage, healthy couple relationship didn't existed, or it existed and then there was a trauma where there was a separation between those couples, that again creates a ripple effect in subsequent generations where
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unleash. I am very excited today because I have a second episode with the most inspiring guest. We had so much of a beautiful success with having Shaista with us on the podcast. And Shaista also will be starting her own podcast platform. And we decided to do this beautiful interview and exploring further into so many dynamics that are limiting our growth. And Shaista is a very, very, very skilled practitioner, a renowned trauma healing therapist. And let's have her on the platform and introduce. Hi, Shaista.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here again. I'm really excited to do these podcasts with you. So thank you so much. Let's see.
I think we all cannot get enough of you, because our last one had such amazing stories and such amazing learnings.
Yeah.
So what is this going to be all about, Shaista? Tell us.
So, yeah, I mean, let's just uncover things and, topics that people have been struggling with in their lives. So I was wondering if we can talk more about, relationship dynamics that shapes our reality, creates happiness or dissatisfaction, right? And most of us, if we have never been able to experience a healthy bond, right, it really lingers on and it reshapes our, present realities. We move on from one bond to another, hoping that this time probably we'll be able to achieve that completion that we could not achieve in our previous experiences. But unless and until people understand where the root causes are, what is happening in our unconscious, they will probably be looping around, in similar patterns and dynamics and never be able to experience that blissful, healthy relationship, which obviously often starts with self.
Yes, and Shaista, we are going to dive deeper, right, into this conversation today. And my first question is, why do so many relationships struggle, even when there's love?
See, love is never an issue. Mm-hmm. People always come together when there is that sync, when there is that connection and that energy being created between two people. But love is never an issue. So it's not that one person is not loving the other person in that connection. Love is always there. Love is like a seed, but we have to look at the soil in which that seed is being planted, right? So we have to see so these two people who have a connection and they love each other, what exactly is running the show behind the curtain, behind the unconscious? What patterns, what incompletions, what needs these people individually have not been met in their earlier years of development, right? When they were children, when they were bonding with their parents, who they loved a lot, right? So children love their parents relentlessly. It is very much hooked to their survival instincts. So they naturally love their parents, but if something has happened where that bond has remained incomplete and we grow up, we become adults, but then we start having these relationships, right? Whatever was unresolved in our earlier primal years of development lingers on.
Right.
It continues. It doesn't dissolve on its own, not with time. So people say that time can heal some wounds, but it doesn't. It just lingers on. And if you go back in generations, right, and that is the kind of work I do. I do generational work, right? So when I look at the generation patterns in those systems, nobody has experienced a healthy bond in partnerships. And when we take a look at their earlier years, there was no healthy bond with their parents as well. So we have to see what is the baseline blueprint that we have experienced, and that is causing us to repeat those patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we think that this is like set in stone, or this is destined to continue, or it's better for us not to get into relationships now, because no matter what relationship I get into, it repeats the same cycle, and it's better for me not to be in a relationship now
At all.
So they create those blocks then. But it's so important for people, instead of creating those blocks and walls around them because their heart has been broken, first to see what really is happening in the unconscious. What are the layers? What is the baseline blueprint that I have experienced of love? So before we even understand relationships, it's so important to understand the blueprint, the kind of love that we have experienced.
Beautiful.
How do I understand love in the first place? What was the love language in my childhood that remained incomplete? Right? So because we love our parents, right? And unquestionably, we trust them. But if those people who were supposed to love us unconditionally had conditions, the love became very transactional.
Yes.
Right? So if love came with threats, if love came with conditions, if love came with silence, right? So if, for example, I disappointed my parent and my parent doesn't want to talk to me, so that is the association in my childhood I would have created with love.
Right.
That love means having to go through a relationship where there will be silence. So such a person will attract a partner who is not emotionally available.
Yes. And I also feel that a lot of times we are so strongly anchored to these scenarios. And I have another client who wanted to ask you, and I wanted to share this question with you, as you being the doctor to this. Now, someone has had a very good, healthy love childhood upbringing, but the second phase in their life was not the same, right? So that is also another issue, right? It's not necessarily that you have to experience it from the childhood. Maybe maybe in a relationship or in a friendship or in many years down the lane, right? Can also give you that discrepancy that, oh wow, everything was so nicely aligned, what just happened, right? And so tell me how to understand that. And also I want you to introduce yourself and your background towards this expert field, so everyone can connect with you.
So my work is primarily based on looking at the transgenerational trauma aspect of our lives. So none of us were born with everything sorted, because most of us were raised by parents who themselves were not sorted, had their own incompletions with their parents, right? Or had were born in family systems where there were, tragedies and traumas and stories that created judgments, that created exclusion of people, right? So, for example, siblings not talking to one another, or there is competition between them, or there are stories of inheritance not being sorted between the siblings.
Absolutely.
Right? So these are not isolated experiences within the family systems. They create a ripple effect. Okay. For example, if there were wars and migrations and displacements of people, right, that also creates a ripple effect. They're not isolated traumatic incidents. They just don't happen there and then there is a full stop. After that, they linger on. They create a ripple effect. And the ripple effect could be in the form of the next generation and the next generation experiencing a feeling of being unsafe, right? Or having anxiety or mental or emotional disorders.
Very natural.
Very naturally, they are going to be, because it changes. So when there is a trauma, it changes the genetic expression of the DNA within that family system, right? So if a family system, for example, had gone through wars, like I was saying, or there was a lack of food and resources, or there was a threat to the life in the community to which they belonged,
or scarcity in some way.
Or scarcity was there, or famine was there, or there was a displacement going on. So those incidents, they continue having an echo. It's like an echo coming down the generational line, where everybody, even if there has been decades gone by, they will still feel the ripples of it. They will still feel something within them. And when they are exposed to some energy, some experience that resonates with that experience, even if it was 60, 70, 100 years ago, that gene within them is going to get triggered. So there is a turn on and off on the basis of what we are experiencing externally. So for example, if for example, there was a grandfather who went to war and never came back, or great grandfather went to war, because there were major world wars 100 years ago, right? So they have not, the effects of those wars, for example, have not been neutralized, right?
The impact.
So all those, the impact is still there. So the descendants are still carrying those survival genes, right? It is an act of survival from that perspective, higher perspective, that what our great grandparents, for example, went through, they do not want their descendants to go through it.
Right.
So we'll be predispositioned to experiencing that, or hypersensitive to those experiences,
or being overprotective with our children.
Exactly. So when
for them not to go through it.
Exactly. So it's an act of survival. It's an act of protection from our previous generations, but it also creates blocks. So if the great grandfather, for example, lost all his money during migration, right, the descendants are going to be sensitive to that trauma, even
or
if
the
they
relationship with money, or
it's going to be affected, because now they are not feeling safe inside of themselves. Even if this was 50, 70 years ago, they're still going to be prone to experiencing what the great grandfather experienced, which is bankruptcy, which is losing money, which is losing everything and then starting off from scratch. So the descendants are again going to experience or pull in experiences similar to that one, where they will lose money,
which will not complement or resonate with their future success.
Absolutely, yeah. So people have fear of success, fear of also having a lot of money, because having a lot of money means losing it and then going through that grief as well. So unconsciously, the nervous system also keeps on repelling those experiences. So a lot of inner work is required when there are complex traumas in our lives. When nothing is making sense, relationships are not making sense, money reality is not making sense, health issues are there, which means there is a complex trauma that these people are carrying, right? So they really need to invest in themselves, in their self-development, looking within, what is it that I'm carrying that doesn't allow me to experience the abundance of life?
And to start with, to love themselves. Only then you can have the healthy relationship.
Absolutely, but that doesn't happen, right? So when we grow up in families where the families are living in survival or in lack mindset, when the mother and father are not in sync, in harmony with one another, so the idea of love becomes very wounded and distorted.
Right.
So the question that you asked me about a person who had a very healthy, seemingly healthy childhood, but then when they are forming relationships, that's when something begins to appear. That could be because of the entanglement also. So what is entanglement? Entanglement means that if in previous generations the idea of healthy bonding, healthy marriage, healthy couple relationship didn't existed, or it existed and then there was a trauma where there was a separation between those couples, that again creates a ripple effect in subsequent generations where they probably will feel as if I get into a relationship, my partner may leave me. So they will create those fears.
Preemptive scenarios mentally,
absolutely,
which haven't occurred.
Exactly.
But they are anticipating it for some reason.
That it could happen, the worst case scenarios,
yes.
right? So honestly, when people come to me and they say something like, I had a very healthy relationship with my mother and father, but these are the issues that I'm having. So it could be because of entanglement, like I explained, or they presume that their relationship was healthy, but there was a merging with the parent. Or there was something that the parents thought that if we haven't dealt with it and we have suppressed it down, and this is a kind of family system we have created and things are working out, and and then life goes on. But there were stories that remained incomplete. For example, if there was an ex-partner of a parent who has not been resolved with, so there was bitterness and anger and judgment around that previous partner who nobody now talks about. There's silence around it, as if that person never really existed. So in the kind of work that I do through...
Even this is not healthy.
This is not healthy because that closure didn't happen with that previous partner. So in family constellations, that is the therapy that I often talk about, and I use that for my healing sessions also. It reveals that process reveals that there is an ex-partner of the mother or the father where there was a judgment, where there was a heartbreak, where there was a sense of betrayal between our parent and that person. And now the descendant, the child, is also pulling in a partner who's
of
making
the same traits.
Of the same traits, of the same. So they have to go through similar judgments about that experience they're having in the current moment, but it has something to do with the history. So until and unless we don't go back in the history and see whose heart was broken, who has not been looked at, who's been excluded, who's never been mentioned, can I look at that now and do the closure that my parent wasn't able to do that closure for themselves?
And end the suffering there.
Stops.
And start a new chapter.
Absolutely. So that closure is important. Often people get, break up, from one relationship to another, hoping this time they'll be able to fulfill what they were not able to fulfill in their previous relationships and call it a failed relationship. So in my mindset, there are no failed relationships. Every relationship is there to teach us something, to help us evolve into the person that we have become.
Yes.
So if we look at the previous relationships from the eye of judgment, having certain opinions, criticism, bitterness, resentfulness, all those things are there, and that has not been resolved. And so we move on to another relationship and then another relationship, hoping that it will be different this time. No, it will not be. We'll be recreating the same things if we have not learned from those previous relationships. So in reality, we have to be thankful to all those people who came in our life, were triggering things for us to work on, right? And in doing so, either we are grateful to them, right? And let them go with love and do the closure, even if it was like 20 years ago, that closure. If that has not happened, it lingers on. So the names could change of our partners, the faces could be different, but the energy, the relationship energy between us and that person remains the same.
Right. And one thing that we want to assert here is you can come positive from those things. You can begin a new chapter.
Yeah,
you can change. Absolutely. You can make that revolution.
Absolutely.
So that your coming generations and they are free from those things that are
patterns.
Obstacles in your path of success.
Absolutely. So the patterns are created because there are certain beliefs, certain limiting beliefs around love. So first of all, when people come into relationship, before they come into relationships or want to come into relationship with someone, they have to work on themselves.
Yes.
They have to understand, where do I come from? What do I understand about love? what kind of love have I experienced growing up? If I have been separated from my parent because there was a split between my parents, and that has caused me to look at that parent who's been distant from me in a certain way. So wherever the major trauma of our lives lives in, so if it was a father who wounded us the most, right? So I'm giving an example. If it was a father figure who wounded a child the most, that is going to be replayed in all the relationships, more than the mother's relationship, right? But we could be carrying the belief of the mother about the father and recreating the same movie of our life.
Rather than making your own script.
Absolutely. So we can't make that own script unless we look at what we are carrying, right? What have I understood about...
It will never happen till you don't study the foundations that is anchoring you and pulling you back rather than pulling you ahead.
Absolutely. So we can't go far from what we have experienced.
Right.
If the mother has never experienced a healthy bond, the girl child is not going to pull in a partner who's going to be healthy. She will recreate the same kind of a partner as what the mother had experienced.
Yes.
All right.
And that's why I think, like, I wanted to share with the audience and Shaista that nowadays when, because of all these surfacing, the elements and the patterns, and whenever we enter into a new relationship, right? There's another question that I wanted to share with you. Her, before entering into the relationship with a new partner, she said that we should go and have therapy and seek therapy.
I truly believe in that. Yes.
So, and then there was a question mark that what will people say? And isn't this something that people do post and not before entering into a new? So can you share this?
I actually believe that everyone should seek therapies, right? Before they embark on something new in their life, before they are getting married, before they are going into a committed relationship, they must look at themselves, because the honeymoon phase, I'm sure many people know about the honeymoon phase, doesn't last for long, right? And when the reality starts striking, it can be very overwhelming for both the partners. And we only attract a partner based on what we are carrying inside.
Right.
It cannot be any different, because it's our nervous system also that attracts a certain kind of a energy within the partner, which is familiar, which may not be healthy, but it is familiar to us based on what we have experienced in our childhood. So I highly recommend all people, especially the teenagers and the young adolescent who come to me for guidance and things like that. I always tell them, please work on yourself.
Yes.
It's not about the other person. Yes, you can disconnect from this person, move on to another one, but it's going to repeat. So please save a lot of your years in a lot of pain, saving yourself from a lot of heartbreaks. Please do the inner work, because it's a truly lifesaver. And it's no more about going into therapies only for, mental issues. It's not anymore isolated and limited to that. It is quite extensive in its approach.
Right.
Anybody who has relationship or money blocks or health issues, right? Or anything to do with how they're feeling inside of themselves emotionally and mentally, must seek therapies. I still seek therapies, even if I come
Which is so important.
Yes. So whatever I'm saying right now is what I live by. I also say the same to people in my personal relationships, that there is no other way to experience the beauty of this life that we have been given other than discovering yourself, because I can only meet you as much as I've met myself.
Wow.
There is no other phenomena that could explain it.
I know.
And it is not even about being spiritual anymore or being practical anymore. It is the truth. So what I'm saying is the truth. Before I got into the world of therapies for myself, I know things never made sense to me. In any aspect of your life, I used to feel overwhelmed and lost. But therapies and the world that I was able to look at actually saved me and gave me the fundamentals and the ground which was never given to me as a child.
And I want to add something here, is that when we had some previous discussions before the recording, like anyone who wants to seek a new relationship or wants to find a new partner in their life, and they first must sit down and do their homework and try to understand that if you say, okay, I need 5 important things, like what are the top 10 traits that you need in that partner, right? And then you break it down and you try to understand that why are you expecting that particular thing. Like someone says, okay, someone has to be very wealthy, but will you have someone very wealthy and someone who is also abusive?
Controlling,
right?
yeah.
Or controlling,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or like, you have to make the comparison. If you say the biggest desire is, I want someone very tall, right? So do you want someone very tall or someone who's a little bit but has a very compassionate attitude towards you?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes we are looking at things from a very superficial aesthetic point of view, which in the long run,
No, it doesn't work out. And that's
So-
the dilemma.
so and then you need to go back and understand why is it that you are so adamant to having this one certain trait, right? So you need to see the depth,
Absolutely.
right? Because
Absolutely.
like you said, why are we wasting our life by not seeking these therapies, by not interrogating our inner dilemmas,
Yeah.
so that we can enjoy a fulfilled life?
Yeah, so instead of outsourcing, can we not resource ourselves from within first?
Beautiful.
Right? That is the whole point of doing this
I
kind
want you
of...
to say this line again.
It was just a channeled message.
Outsourcing.
Instead of outsourcing the desires and the needs and things that you
Yes.
want to experience, can we not resource ourselves first? I was just telling someone yesterday, it is all about resourcing yourself from within first, which includes self-love.
Right.
Before we expect somebody else to meet us there. So when I love myself, when I look after myself, when I am aware of my wounds, I'm aware of my incompletions, I will not pull in a partner who will not appreciate that part of me. Right? So no partner is a wrong partner. Even the ones who we term as, someone who was, toxic or who was wounded or who was abusive, even that is not the wrong partner. That partner was pulled in for you to replace something that you have not healed from.
Like, how we make a long list of this is what we want. And then why am I not manifesting this particular one? Now, the question back is, have you worked on yourself? Right? Are you all those things
Yes.
that you
Are
are
you that
looking
partner? Yeah.
for in that outside person?
Yeah.
So rather than that approach, which is not within our, it can be in our control, but first, if we work heavily on ourselves and become that person, you will automatically attract that
Absolutely, absolutely. So which means I'll add something more to it, that healing is all about feeling whole. So if I haven't felt whole within myself and I feel that, oh my God, I want someone to love me so that I feel, I'm lovable, that person is actually going to mirror back to me that I'm not lovable. So these are the laws of the universe. This is how the universe works. So the first thing for us to, and this is what happens, that's a benefit of having therapies, is first of all, you begin to understand the laws of the universe. You begin to align yourself with those laws first, which you unconsciously were not aware of. So you were going on the opposite direction of those laws. And that's why things are not working out.
Yes.
Right? So once we align ourselves with them, with the universe, with how the high consciousness works, everything begins to align with us. You will pull in a partner who is aligned with your present version and the future versions, right? And you will align in experiences, money reality or health, the kind of body that you want, right? Once you become that, so you have to become that first, what you desire. It doesn't come from outside. Nobody outside of you can fulfill you from within.
And those gaps, unless...
It's doomed for failure. It's doomed for failure if we keep on, like
and
I
you'll
said,
attract
outside.
the same people again and again,
Again
unless
and
the
again.
healing work.
Yeah, so if a child is carrying that sense of rejection as a child, let it be a girl or a boy, right? That they're holding on to that belief that something is wrong with me and my father or my mother or anyone or even my sibling rejected me as a child. That sense of rejection becomes a belief, and it creates a pattern for us to keep on experiencing partners and relationships, even work, right? Which is going to confirm, yes, I'm unlovable. And people
Absolutely.
reject me.
You know, you have to, why do small arguments in relationships, Shaista, turn into bigger stories?
See, what happens is that when people are arguing, they're actually arguing from a space of a child. They're not in their adult consciousness. So if they become aware of themselves, they will know, oh my God, how I'm talking to my partner, what I'm saying to my partner is something I wanted to say to my parent who I'm still very angry at.
Amazing.
So every connection around us is a mirror. So when I'm angry at my partner, whatever I'm saying to them is something that I desired.
That was blocked.
That I could not express to my parent when I was a child, because parents do not allow their children
To talk back in the old
to
times.
express their anger. So anger is healthy. But how anger also has been excluded from our psyche. There is judgment around anger also as an emotion, as an energy. We keep on pushing it out though. It's not healthy to be angry. But then all that anger goes in, either causes health issues,
Yes.
big time, because it's excluded, but it needs to be included somehow, right? These are the laws that I speak about in constellation work, about the exclusion and how we can include them back, because they have a consequence, right? So if a child has never been able to express a healthy form of anger or disappointment with their parent growing up, because a parent wouldn't take it, wouldn't receive it.
Of course.
Parent was unregulated. They didn't know any other way, because when they too were children,
Yes.
nobody co-regulated with them. Maybe there was a missing parent who was supposed to co-regulate with that
Yes.
child who now became our parent, right?
Exactly.
So the co-regulation has not happened, which means there are a lot of traumas in our nervous system. So our nervous system is also not our individual nervous system. We inherit it.
Absolutely. And this is the exact reason I feel, Shaista, that some people accomplish things very easily, very effortlessly,
Yeah.
with a minimum hardcore hustle.
Yeah.
And some people are just doing 2 to 500% more and still not gaining the effects. And this is what we are coming down to.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
how can you make things easily come to you by doing all these therapies and remedies?
Absolutely. It's like completing a developmental phase of your life, what you were not able to do as a child.
Yes.
Right? It's like, so therapies allow you to grow up, to evolve, which you were not able to understand or receive from your parents because they were too limited also.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's the benefit of having therapies, that it helps you become whole. It allows you to understand yourself, where you're coming from. It allows you to drop your own self-judgments, because I can't love myself if I'm holding on to so many judgments about myself.
Yes. And on the same end, can you tell me about what and why is emotional closeness so important?
Yeah. So it's very important to understand, how do I define emotional closeness? It could be very different for you, and it could be very different from me. So the idea of emotional closeness for us could be very different, right? So in reality, if that attunement of emotional closeness never happened, so for example, between you and your mother, so if there was a distance and your mother wasn't attuned to you fully, so emotions are feminine in nature, right? So it starts off with the mother. So when a child is in the womb of the mother and the mother is distracted, or she's working and have to make sure that
Not fully present.
that child, right from the experience of being in the womb, begins to feel overwhelmed and feel as if that nourishment from the mother is not coming.
Yes.
Right? So that causes a split off within the child who is in the womb now, because the mother is distracted, not emotionally present, or also having to go through her own anxiety. So maybe the mother is also overwhelmed, maybe she is depressed, maybe she has 5-6 other children before this child.
100%. She might be having her own limitations at that time, which she was trying her level best.
So there is that emotional
gap.
Distance
Already.
And now with that kind of a nervous system that
inheritance,
was shaped, which has been inherited, a person moves on and wants to have that completed through a partner.
Or through their children.
Or through their children, yeah.
Or family,
through their
friends.
work also. So the work also shows us the kind of work we experience, the kind of money reality we have also is because of our childhood experiences.
Absolutely.
Right? So if the emotional attunement of a child with the mother and after that with the father could never be established, we are always living our life from that sense of feeling as if something is missing, something is incomplete. So I want my partner, or I want my work, or I want this person, my friend or my sibling or whatever, my children, to make me feel a certain way which I cannot
Yes.
get to be fulfilled because they are not responsible for it. So the partner may feel heavy, for example, with living with such a partner. The other one may start feeling very heavy and burdened by the constant
The baggage.
the expectations,
Yes.
which only a parent could have met. So therapies is one of the safest place where we can explore that, and where we would let the other person complete what they were never able to complete, and that is an evolution.
Unbelievable. And it just makes so much sense. Shaista, you want to share some client testimonials who have sought, consultation from you and have improved, evolved, and changed their game story?
Absolutely. I think I keep on attracting a lot of people, with since we are talking about relationships, so that is the example I can give you. So I keep on attracting these people with dysfunctional forms of relationship dynamics. And what uncovers all the time is how that remained incomplete for them as a child. And once they start working with me, we work on different layers in every session, right? And each session is absolutely deep and very transformative. So after few sessions, these people come back to me, sometimes even after one session, that the connection that I had with my partner has started to transform.
Beautiful.
The triggers are no longer showing up as they were showing up before coming to you for the therapies. And along with that, the connection between me and my children has also started shifting. So Shaista, I'm seeing these changes around me, and I wanted you to become aware of them. And now my mother, who used to trigger me a lot, is not able to trigger me. She's the same. She still talks the same way, but how I'm processing it inside of me has shifted. So Shaista, I'm seeing a lot of shifts.
And she must be feeling much more
lighter. Yeah, I've got these beautiful testimonies. Yeah,
her productivity is enhanced.
Absolutely, and so fulfilling for me as a human as well, to be of service, because these were the things I struggled with myself all my life. So when I'm able to offer that healing space and transformation to my to all these people who come in my space, it really feels as if I'm at a service of higher consciousness and God and divine. And it's really fulfilling for me as a human.
Yes, it's such a great service. And like, what kind of consultations and what kind of modalities because I know you do different, tailor-made to every different client.
Yeah.
But what are your, because when clients will get in touch with you, would like to know how do you manage,
So, Samira, my work is very multidimensional. I can't really jot it down to one aspect of it. It's like quite various aspects and facets to it. Most of my work is healing generational traumas and patterns and things that are still hooking people into the past, even though they feel they're in the present, but they're not in the present. They're actually stuck in very old timelines. When I do those processes, the process reveals where the person is stuck in. They may be in their 40s and 50s, but the consciousness that they're still operating from could be of a child. So the constellation process or the work that I do reveals where they are stuck. So we are able to work on that and help them to grow and evolve from there. So the kind of work that I do looks into the transgenerational trauma. Then I also look at the soul trauma. What is the person carrying in their soul blueprint? And that is through Akashic records. So these are the different variations that I work with depending on where the person is coming from, what could benefit them. And most of my work is actually guided also. So I could be doing this with you, but if there's another person who's coming to me, probably I'll be doing something very different, which I've never done with this person.
Right.
So all my sessions are very tailor-made, very specific, very unique, because people who are coming to me are also coming from very unique systems.
Right.
Not one system is similar to another.
Amazing. And you cannot copy paste one
No,
person's,
not at all.
right? Because
Not at
they
all.
all are unique. We are all unique human
Absolutely,
beings.
absolutely. I tell my clients, you're all very unique. So whatever work I may have done with somebody else, I may not be repeating it with you because you don't need it.
Yes.
I'll do with you what you need to evolve and heal
Absolutely.
and transform.
And I was so proud of your works when I saw you receiving the award, and just growing and becoming more and more busier. And finally, we got to do this podcast because I wanted to open up the year of 2026 with those valuable golden nuggets and pieces of advice and valuable insights where everyone can recognize their inner story.